Cheers, thanks for making it to the last session of the day. Yes, and we'll see you, Sarah.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ron Delirious here with the Culture Ride.
Culture. Culture is a language that you don't need to know how to speak, but you should work to understand. Culture is the theater by which we express and cope with the world around us. Culture is not an act of exclusion, but an act of refinement by born outsiders like Shiner, started by immigrants who wanted to bottle a bit of their old home and a bit of their new one. We never changed shape, but instead shaped change. We don't simply brew Texas beer, we brew Texas culture. Not for the stereotypical cowboy, but for the real Texas. El Paso to Dallas, Houston to Austin, we brew the invitation to a broader belonging. We brew community history with our music, film, and art. And yeah, we brew beer. Lots of beer. The same beer that Texas has loved since 1909. Well, not just that one. In partnership with Bakery, Shiner has overhauled their portfolio to meet a more diverse and more female audience in Texas and the 50 states. Together they've created a new line of IPAs, the first ever beer brewed with cactus water, cocktail-inspired seltzers, a new Mexican-style cerveza, and even brewed and bottled the TikTok trend. Innovation has been used as a brand-building tool. Difficult, but not impossible with the right partners.
Bakery's been a huge partner for us, not just from a traditional brand agency relationship when it comes to communications and design, but truly a business partner and helping us drive innovation in particular.
Culture can't be joined or adopted. It needs to be written and added to. It starts with product, mission, values, risk, and truth. Because culture isn't a thing, culture is everything.
I was dropping some buzzwords there for you.
Well, I know last panel was great, and I know we touched on culture a little bit, and that video is all about culture. So I just want to throw it to you to talk a little bit about culture in each of your brands and how it factors into your working relationship. These two have been working together for over 3 years, so this was like a very easy for you call conversation.
Our matching outfits.
Yeah.
And we're very comfortable with one another.
Right, when you become common, you start dressing like. Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about culture?
I mean, if that didn't say a lot about culture, we'll say a little bit more about it. Shiner is, I'm an immigrant from the DR, Dominican Republic. I got to Texas in 2005, straight from the island, and I can tell you, like, when I got here, it was like I needed to find a new beer, because, all Latin American countries have their own beer, and mine was Presidente my whole life. And so I got here, and I was like, no Presidente, okay, so I got to find a beer. And everyone told me, I mean, they didn't have to tell me. It was just like, you're in Texas now, China. Like that's weird, why do you have to ask? So, and I mean, I've been drinking ever since, and it was like, for the longest time, just kind of a week, of like, everyone's just like, if you know, this is what you drink here. But the interesting part is, I think like, for Shiner, what crept up on Shiner after a while was how Texas has become this huge magnet of people from the coasts and from all over the world, and like, I mean, the immigration level here is insane. Please stop moving here. Like, we're trying to like buy houses and shit. it's very difficult. So, but so what happened is all these people started like moving here, and then with them moving here, they started to bring a lot of their favorites and culture. Like I couldn't bring Presidente when I came here, but they could bring the beer they're drinking in Chicago or Boston or wherever, right? They could bring it here. And so, because Shiner was always like a link, they never had to like plaster a flag on the can like Miller, or anything like that. Right? Yeah. It was a thing where like now we started asking Gen Zers, and then started drinking millennials that are drinking. and asked them about Shiner being Texan, we got all of these responses back where they were like, oh, I didn't know that it was Texan, and it's insane because it is born and bred Texan, only brewed in Texas, like the legit thing. They were saying, oh, I thought Miller was Texan, and it was, like, it's crazy. I mean, and I remember going to a bar here, last year, going up to the bartender, a young guy, and I'm just like, hey, do you have Shiner? He's like, what's that? And I was just like, something, no.
Like, you're not from here.
Yeah, literally, I told him, like, you're not from here. I said, no, just move here. I'm like, yeah, all right. But that tells you, from a cultural standpoint, like, okay, we need to create some reminders. We need to bring people back. And so, culturally, we've been undergoing a reconnection to our community, starting through packaging. This is the new Shiner Light Blonde pack that just came out. This is the first time I'm seeing it in hand, actually.
Literally just started
Just
shipping.
yeah.
So.
Like the campaign is out today. Like it just came out today. So it's very fresh.
I think it just went up on Instagram like 30 minutes ago. So.
Right. So
Congrats.
as we're sitting there, we're like, well, I need to take a look at that and make sure everything's But basically, we still didn't want to like change the cool factor of Shiner. We didn't want to start to like put flags all over this thing, whatever. So it was this fine line of how do you do the job, and culturally remain. Like again, if you know, it is the vibe, and we now need to make sure that more people know that they know. That's really.
Yeah, I mean the whole conversation around Gen Z and authenticity and the need to be who you are. I mean, I think that goes beyond Gen Z, and I think we really learned that over the course of our national expansion. And we're the number one craft beer in Texas. We're a top 5 craft beer nationally. We were able to take a brand that had recognition and equity and expand it to all 50 states and Puerto Rico and Mexico. And we really got away from who we were in the process. We really kind of became a little bit more of a generic craft brand, and we kind of lost that. What's that authentic story? Who are we? That's a story that people want to know and care about. They may not be from Texas or they may not live here, but it is core to who we are. And by not making that a key part of our message, we were losing that key differentiator in our own identity.
Yeah, I love that. One of the things you spoke about when we were talking about your backstory, especially Nick, is this ability to breathe new life into a brand. And we've talked about relevancy a little bit over the past couple of days, but maybe speak to your career journey and how you've gotten to Shiner, because I know you said it's like a dream come true. Yeah, I mean, it's so fun. If you're gonna market something, what's more fun than a beer from Austin, a beer from Texas?
Yeah, I mean, I had worked on many heritage brands before Shiner, brands that have been around for a century or more, Kimberly Clark, brands like Kleenex and Huggies, and very exciting paper products. I think the one that really put me on the trajectory, even more so beyond that, was Blue Bunny Ice Cream. It was a brand that had lost its identity in a similar way. It become very corporate. It was very much just a no identity brand. And it kind of we actually go and talk to consumers. They say, oh, that's that Walmart brand, right? You see it at Walmart. And okay, yeah, that was great for us at the time because it was huge sales for us. We had national distribution because of that Walmart agreement. We did their private label. And it was a symbiotic relationship, but it really destroyed the brand. And we're okay, whatever this does, we're going to revamp this and make sure we're protecting our brand rather than just focusing on sales opportunities. And that was really okay, bring it up to current, make it about what it is. That brand was all about fun, right? In the category, you've got very serious products that are talking about ingredients, and we're about fun. And having a very corporate feeling brand is not right for that. So. Not to spend too much time talking about that, but that just one of the examples, right? So being able to come to Shiner, brand that's been around for over 100 years and just needed to reconnect with its consumer base, a very loyal consumer base. I mean, every other week I see someone sharing a picture on our social channels of their new Shiner tattoo, or naming their pet or their kid Shiner, right? We have this very strong base to start from, but we were losing that next generation. We were losing the people that were moving into Texas, which is our home state and our core market. And it was just a matter of, all right, we've got something that resonates, we just have to deliver it in the right way.
Can you speak a little bit about the mnemonic device and the campaign and so when you know that you have a brand that needs a bit of a facelift, like you've mentioned, what is the process? What is that journey going from consumer insights and Micky, I know you talk about being very product led and bigger agencies, so maybe discuss some of that.
So bakeries, I think every creative agency in the world says we're really different. And I think in some ways, we're not different than other creative agencies. We're just better in a lot at certain things than others are, but we specialize in tangible products. If you're a service company, for example, we at this point we've decided we don't even know how to work with you, honestly. We love the physical thing. We love we work with Nike, we work with DeLorean Motors, we work with Shiner, Diageo, Kellogg's, Pepsi. If you can hold it in your hand and make it cool, and we're interested. We work with Live with Death and make a lot of weird shit. So a lot of our goal always is how do we outdo ourselves almost? How does the agency, hey, we just did that for Live with Death. How do I make something cooler than the shit I love that I just made for Live with Death for Shiner now? And then the next week it's all right, now I've got to beat Shiner again with Live with Death. And it's so it's a weird vibe, to be honest, to work with us. But I think it's spectacular. So so to talk about, what was your we're drinking beer, so it's normal. Sorry.
The new campaign, how Texas is get to these.
So one of the things. So a lot of times the products, we really want to inject everything we can into the product itself, right? So right now our campaign ends all 3 commercials that are launching. And with, so the tagline is how Texas does life. And the VO in the end ends by, when you open, there's a close-up on the can, and when somebody opens it, the sound of opening a can, it sounds like, so basically, so we told Nick and everybody in his organization, and this is common, by the way, other than Nick, everybody else hates us, because we're always the people just making their lives way harder. But we're now we're doing the science on how to actually make that happen on the can. So I want a can, when I open it, I want it to sound like without a battery, without a speaker. I want the sound that it's making when I pull this. I just want to change the sonic characteristics of it. And you can't do that. AI can't do that. Sorry, Fernando. But yeah, what was his name? Guillaume? He can't help us with this one. But Giuseppe can't help us. On this one. We're going to have to do it the hard way. But basically, the point here is we're very much going into that right now. Is this is a thing we need to do. When we put out, for example, the first IPA that Shiner had done in a very long time. They were out of the IPA game. And we decided we wanted to put them back in because a big part of Nick's mandate, but also what attracted us to the account, other than the fact that we're in Texas and we're a Texas agency in China, right? But is the fact that the mandate is make the brand more appealing to people of color and women. And it's not based on some DEI thing or some, which I all respect to that, but it's based on just fact. More women are drinking beer, more people of color in drinking beer. I mean, the number one beer now since the whole Bud Light thing is Modelo. Modelo is the number one beer. And we've been saying for the longest time when we showed up to China, to some people at China, because we saw the persona they sold to when we first got there, and it was a good old boy, white guy with a cap that was 39 years old and drove a fucking truck, and we're like, what the fuck? Like, you know, that's like the same bullshit when I tell people I live in Texas, they're like, well, you ride a horse to work. Like, I don't ride a fucking horse to work. Like, no. And so it's like, so it just felt like, you're Shiner. Why the fuck are you selling to that guy? That guy, he drove Shiner, I bet. But that's not the only person doing Shiner. So when we created the IPA, Texas, some of you might have some in hand, we created this product based initially on we wanted a differentiator in the product. And the differentiator we came up with, I think the gentleman from Cage that was up here earlier was talking about how, you know, nootropics, electrolytes and drinks, things like that have become really high in people's minds. We wanted to, in a state that got, 60 days of like 100 and some degrees, and people are boiling out there, but they like their beer, and they're just falling sideways at ACL Festival and whatever, you know, because they still want to drink. We were like, we need to hydrate these people as they dehydrate. And so we decided to tell the brewery that we want to brew this beer with cactus water. That would be done. And the brewery, because again, it's a 100-and-some-year-old brewery, and bless them, they were like, "Go fuck yourself." And we were like, "No, it's going to happen. This is the way that we're going to do it." And then finally, they indulged us. They tried it. They were like, "It's actually pretty good." And we're like, yeah. And so we did it. And then from there, the brand emerged. From the product plus in the brand emerged, where we were like, who made this, you know? And then we thought, okay, we want a character to obviously rival the Voodoo Rangers of the world and all that, but we wanted a female character. And we created, initially very controversial, because they were like, you want to make a witch character, like a woman, but you want to turn her into a witch. And you want to call her La Bruja, and we're like, yep. And because it's badass. Like, you know, and a lot of people, what they look for when they're buying these IPAs is, they don't have the time, they don't give a shit. You have a Voodoo Ranger, it's disgusting. Like, so they don't care about what's in the can, they care about what's on the can, and like, what do people think about me when I'm holding this at the bar? And so we wanted to make this really cool character, and we created her, and that was a year and a half ago. We're up to 6 varietals on this brand, and it's kicking fucking ass.
And a beer that was way better than theirs.
Yes, exactly. So
it's delicious.
So again, like the innovation side for Innovation Steak is, you know, that's fool's gold, and it's about how do I innovate to make something that, again, storytellers were telling here, you know, like, you gotta sell something other than just a thing, you know, but the thing is at the core of what you're selling. So it's, if you never forget that, you're gonna be it.
I really think that's kind of a perfect example of why this relationship had worked so well. The brief on that was basically make an IPA, right? It was a very simple brief. You know, you look at the craft beer category, 40% of the sales are in IPA, and 0% of our sales were in IPA, right? We were only reaching, you know, 60% of the category. And like, all right, we can't, you know, continue in this category without being a legitimate competitor in this space. Throw all the rules out the window, right? This was don't feel like you're constrained by anything at all in the brand. Just create something ground up that's going to let us compete in this space. And it was product, branding, design, packaging, all of these things in one complete package. And by just letting that process happen, it let us go beyond how we could have done if we were being very tight with the brand.
And like DJ Khaled, all we do is work. It did really well, so it's doing really well. So that's great. We're hoping that this new rebrand, you know, also brings us back to something. And again, we are really going to try this thing on the can. Everyone's telling us it can be done. That just means cool. Then that means that a lot of people that might have tried something like this, they quit after round 1, after round 2, after round 3. We just have to get to round 6 and get it, and then no one else has it. So that's the mentality that we try to bring into Shiner, and I feel like Nick really, I mean, without Nick, there's no way we would have done it, but like he helps us internally make those big pushes. You know, that's why, you know, I loved every minute of Fernando Machado being up here, because he's that same kind of marketer where we love to find those folks and work with them, where they're just like, they will go to bat for the work. They will go to bat for the thing. They don't give a shit. It's like, you want to fire me? Look at what I did for you last fucking season or with that LTO. Like, oh, I fucking fire me. No, I need you to do this for me right now. And so those are the people we become soldiers for, you know? And so then that's, his word is obsessed, right? Like when he was saying it, and I couldn't stop thinking about it because we talk about that a lot, about just weird obsessions with like, it's gotta say Texas. Like, if not, it's not complete. You know, it's just like insane. But anyway.
You were in yesterday we talked a little bit about privilege, and you are in a really lucky position that you have someone on the other end of the table who gets you. You know, during Fernando's talk, the woman from Bumble in the back said, like, what do you do if you're up against leadership that doesn't want to take risks?
You leave.
And it's been a long, I've been in this, digital branding content game for over a decade, and my first year, we were working with P&G, and I had to convince Secret Deodorant that you did not have to show a woman, it's not as sexy as beer, we've all been there, you worked at Huggies. You don't have to show women applying deodorant, and I know that you've all been there, because like, the struggle is real, so the ability to find a partner who gets you, and that you are in it together, like, how special is that?
But here's I would say the flawed concept of being lucky. There's nothing lucky about it. Like, we're insane about targeting people. It's something that Jacqueline, who works with me over there, and she likes to say, she's been working with us for 4 years, and she likes to say that the thing that convinced her, because, she's hot shit, so the thing that convinced her to end up coming over to us when we were like half the size that we are now, coming from New York to work with us, was like in a chat with us, like she heard me say, I don't give a shit what brands we work with. Like, cause she was asking, what's your brand sort of bucket list? And I'm like, I don't really care. I care about who is running it. Like, that's all I give a shit about, because that's the work. You know what I mean? And I feel like we keep to that. We go nuts over like who we work with. You know what I mean? Like we look for, and there's certain signs of like, that 1,000-yard stare that you're looking for in that marketer that's just like ready for this type of work. And we go after them, and then it becomes cyclical, right? Then it's like, oh, you've been doing this for Nike, and Diageo's like, hey, that's cool. Like, what's up? And you're like, well, not you, but that guy. And then like, okay, and then DeLorean's like gonna relaunch as an EV, and you go and you meet a bunch of network agencies because at the end of the day, you're the weird, crazy person in the center that's like,
drops a lot of F-bombs and drinks beer on stage.
Correct. And look, we're gonna go and do some shit that nobody else is gonna do, and like, I'll fucking die trying to do it, because that's all I give a shit about. And so it is a mentality, but at the same time, like, we're independent. That's also like a big part of why an independent agency, if you any of y'all work with agencies, trying to work with an independent if you can. It does pay off, because I don't have to answer to anybody other than my team. And so if my team is pushing me for better work, then great, that's my mandate, that's what I'm gonna go do. So versus like somebody upstairs telling me like, hit that number, I don't care how you do it, go get a shitty client, go get this, go get that. It starts to deteriorate the culture that you've spent so much time building, and the work gets affected, everything gets affected. So it really is about just sticking to it and being good at not like taking it easy out,
Values, right? We talked a lot about values in the last few days too.
Yeah.
Nick, you have to hit some numbers on your end.
Well,
Let's talk about that.
what I was going to say on this is there's the team of rivals theory, right? Where you want to put people together to have different strengths, think differently, and you want to be aligned, right? And there's a tendency to just find people that think like you, and you can move efficiently and quickly that way, but you miss out on a lot of opportunity. And so what we really wanted to do was get that right balance of push and pull. And we're coming at it with the business mindset first. They're coming at it with a strictly, how can we be as cool and creative and connecting with our consumers in the best way possible? And it's just that perfect connection of those two things. We pull them back towards the business and hitting our numbers, and they pull us back in the direction of, no, this is what you need to do to stay relevant.
Yes. So on that note, getting the word out to your consumers, like, let's talk about creative. Let's talk about like, all right, you have the new look, you will eventually have the new sound.
Yes.
Like, how do you get the message out there? What are some of the strategies that are coming up for you in terms of go-to-market?
Well, look, Shiner is not a small company by any means. I would say 60-some% of our business is Texas, and we're 50 state here. But so a lot of people might make the mistake of saying like, oh, 60% is in one state. There's small. Texas is bigger than multiple countries put together, so it is the number one light year state. Right. Yeah. So it is not a small company, and we're a small base of customers and all. So of course we have mass media that gets purchased quite a bit, also by our sister company, Ken. If anyone needs a media company, so we work with that guy right there. Yeah. But yeah, like we so there's a lot of mass purchase for media and that kind of thing. But honestly, like some of the stuff, again, I'm gonna go back to Fredman because he stole so much great shit, when he was talking about it. But when he talked about how some of the really cool stuff is the stuff where he didn't put that much money into, that tends to be the same case for us, right? So I'll tell you, like TikTok is a place where you can't advertise if you're an alcohol brand, and because they don't age gate. And we found a way around it, and it wasn't necessarily even it didn't start like a TikTok thing, but a couple of years ago when the whole berries and cream thing exploded, and people were doing the dance berries and cream and all that stuff. Cool. We decided that we wanted to put out a berries and cream beer, and we wanted to put it out now. And that's not how the beer industry works. You have to get all your ingredients, and your recipe, basically, okay. You gotta put a proper UPC on it, the government's involved. When you're this is a new SKU, we're gonna put it out. You have to go through a lot of process. So, but we were just with the little tab. We were no, but it's gonna happen. I don't give a shit, and we're gonna figure it out. I'll go to jail. It's fine. I'm in jail. It's fine. Don't worry. No, but it was okay. So we started looking through the whole roster, right? And we were okay, you have a strawberry blonde beer, and you have a cream ale. Can we put these two beers together? That are already, the ingredients are all okay, this is already covered by government and everything. Can I put them together into a bottle for a limited time offer and just call this berries and cream and do a label and stuff like that? And they said, they made the mistake of telling me technically yes. And then the brewery, and then this 100-some-year-old brewery was who are these fucking people? And then you heathens, why would you do this? And we're we're doing it, don't worry. And don't make me do this out of the bathtub at my home, do it in the brewery. And so we did it, and then we packed this up. It was 6 weeks from idea, from the moment the berries and cream thing hit, to the moment that we sent 6 packs to every influencer we could find that was doing crazy berries and cream stuff and all that and then they went nuts. We didn't have to pay them anything. They just grabbed it, they showed it on their screens, it blew the fuck up. It was everywhere. And then we sent it to even the original guys that made the original berries and cream commercial for Starburst that started this whole thing. And they posted about it, they said, this is so fucking cool. And here's the funny part, Starburst, this all started from Starburst, a commercial in 2007. Starburst, because of the blow of a company like that, they couldn't reissue their berries and cream Starburst in time for the trend. So we basically were the thing people were talking about was the beer, because there was no other product that was berries and cream out there. So again, this is what I mean when I say it's values, it's drive, it's don't worry about the nose, just you can figure it out. And so the problem is you have way too many people out there that they'll take the easy out. They're just oh, but the brewery said no. And I'm and some people will be
But they said technically yes.
Exactly. So you just have to be a little crazy,
And it sounds like inspiration plus speed. That's fast. How long does it normally take to make a new?
So, just brewing a beer takes a month. right? So, we're talking 6 weeks there. That's really 2 weeks, right? I mean, we had 2 weeks to say, like, get everything lined up, make it happen, and actually, but the rest of it was just actually doing it at that point, brewing the beer, putting it in some bottles, and shipping it out.
Yeah, that's fast. How long did it take to make these outfits today?
Well,
Micky's on the sewing lesson.
All right. Well, I have no concept of time. I do. Yeah, 5 minutes. Okay. I want to ask. Everyone asks the future question. Thank you. You work here now. What is next? I love this answer. It was kind of teased in the video. But what is next for Shiner? What is next for Shiner Bakery? Like, let's future cast a little. Let's think about what's important moving forward.
I mean, we started 3 years ago overhauling the portfolio and broadening our drinkers base. That continues to be the mission, and we're going to zigzag and move into the spaces that the market necessitates of us, in order for that to work out. So I think, some of it we know, some of it we don't. But what we do know is that we are going to do what we need to do to make this available to younger audiences, more female audiences, and browner audiences. Honestly, as a Latino myself, our Mexican style cerveza normally is doing really well.
Did anyone get one of those? It's in there. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's doing extremely well. And so, and when we first kind of put the idea out there to do this is funny because a lot of people don't know this. It's the secret, I guess. But everybody thinks of Shiner, and they're like, think of who owns Shiner right now. Think of the person that's sitting behind the big desk that owns Shiner.
White guy in a cowboy hat.
White guy in a cowboy hat, right? The beer is owned by Carlos Alvarez, a Mexican immigrant who came to the States. He brought Corona to the United States. That's his original claim to fame. Sold all the rights, and with those rights, he bought the Shiner Brewery in the late 80s. And he's been behind Shiner ever since. He doesn't like to put it out there, he doesn't like to trade his heritage or his name, to sell beer, and I get that, and I respect it quite a bit. But when we told him, dude, of everybody, you have the right to put out a Mexican style beer, and it was I don't know, all that and whatever, and then we finally convinced him. And now you ask him, he's just it was my idea. 100%. He wrote the scripts for the campaign and everything like that. But so our goal is to continue to find those pockets where we can keep this mission going because we really believe in it. It's not bullshit. It's not marketer crap. It's just this is the way. This is it. This is the way forward. And so we feel pretty good about it.
So a couple things, and then the first one is it's pretty crazy that we made it through pretty much our entire session here without talking about Shiner Bock. And 7 out of every 10 beers we sell is a Shiner Bock. For a lot of people, that's all they know from Shiner, and that's kind of synonymous with who we are as a brand. And obviously, we're focusing on a lot of other areas for growth, and that's some of the new and exciting territories. But when we kind of kicked things off and talked about making an old brand new again, making it relevant, talking to consumers in the right way. That's really our final frontier, right? Is making sure Shiner Bock is on the right trajectory. We've been doing a lot of little things, but not really necessarily any one single big thing. And I think that's one space that hopefully everyone will see here in the next year, some pretty big changes in that brand to make sure it stays on the right path to relevance. And then I think for us, it's more looking longer term, right? Where we've been a little bit stuck in a cycle of looking 1 or 2 years out. And we want to try to be where people are going to be in several years instead of just matching what's going on. So I think we've done a really great job collectively of making the right steps, right? But I also think there's this whole other level that we can get to that we haven't really tapped into yet.
And I will just, I'll spell it out a little bit more for it. It's 2024 is Bock year for us. And so we went through a very interesting path that I would say is different to most businesses like this. Is like you would normally take the flagship, work on the flagship, and then trickle down from it. We actually did the opposite. We went around the rest of our portfolio, like literally took a shotgun to everything that was like, there's no future for this thing, dead, right? And then like replaced it with things that we felt really strong about. Started to create a visual identity for our entire roster and moved up. And now, like, this is the second largest, sales based SKU.
The fastest growing.
Yeah, and the fastest growing is light. But so right above it is Bach, and that's what 2024 is all about for us. And I mean, it's very much done already. It's just that's when it's going to launch. But we're pretty excited about it.
Bach gear.
Bach
Keep an
gear.
eye out.
Oh yeah.
Merch drops. I mean, we got a lot of
A
exciting
lot of merch
stuff.
drops. A lot of merch drops.
Time for questions? Singular, plural, anyone? I mean, you know. Yeah.
I have a really serious question, but I
Please.
feel very comfortable.
That was her golden
I'm
ticket.
here. I'm here to do it.
But I was just wanted to confirm that you didn't take any form of caged pre-workout before this. If not, I would partake in it because I feel like you would be unstoppable.
Unfortunately, I do need to take the motivate myself to go to the gym. I did not take it today, but thank you. Yeah, this is all natural. Send my mom cards, please. I had to deal with this shit for a long time.
Yeah, we'll be getting there after this. Thank goodness. Anyone else? I mean, it's that.
I'm kind of curious. So I'm from Canada and I moved here like a year and a half ago. I think I was just introduced to Shiner when I moved here, just like browsing the stores and all that kind of stuff. Never really been about Bach. So I'm really interested. Try the business. This is absolutely amazing. It's hazy IPA. I love hazy IPAs. And I'm like, man, I want to look more into this brand. I want to start, evaluating all this kind of stuff. So I'm curious, it's like 2024 is Bach year. So it's like, do you think you have a lot more momentum going through Bach year with all these new product categories that you kind of entered and focus more in?
We do because of the nature of the business, right? So regardless of what we might do up here, like it's still a distributor-led business, right? So they're through basically filling out, with things that the retailers want, and the distributors are like, all right, I gotta carry it. We're taking up more space in the trunk, right? So that gives us a lot more power in the off-premise. Honestly, for us, with that beer that you're holding right now, our big battle is the on-premise. IPA, right? So not to say that C-stores aren't driving IPA growth, because they are, but normally the trial and decision making is happening on the on-premise, and then they go to the off-premise to make the purchase. So what we do want to do is see that more. One of the things that we decided, for example, when we were like put that over here again. When we designed La Bruja, for example, one of the things we wanted to do was think through our business struggle, even in the design of that character. And so you see she has glowing eyes. And the reason why we did that is because Shiner does a lot of their taps with the main character in whatever their so like Bach has the ram on it, right? Our Aura here has our Jaguars on the tap handle. So we wanted to make a tap handle with the character on it. And we wanted to make the first tap handle ever that has glowing eyes. And we did. And now it's like on the on-premise, you have bars that are fighting to get that, because you go at night, it's the back of the bar, you don't see anything, but you see two eyes that are blowing off the tap, and everyone goes and is like, that whatever the hell that is, like that's what I want. And so based on that, we added glowing eyes to her character because it needs to make sense, right? So a lot of this is like so tied back to the business and how you grow. You sell beer one can at a time, right? One bottle at a time. So that's really the mentality, and everything that we do is still based on that, right? So even like putting that sound into a can, I don't know how I'm supposed to say this or whatever, but I want every drug Texan to be like, I heard it. It's the Texas to me, and I really do want that. So
Thanks, everybody.